The disorders that we looked at in the 3 genetic conditions presentation are all caused by a malfunction to a particular protein coding gene. Most characteristics are not like this. They are complex characteristics. Most genes produce proteins which work with other proteins to build and maintain cells. Characteristics like height, intelligence and personality are shaped by hundreds, if not thousands, of genes working together in their local environments to produce their effects. Historically, these genes have been called polygenes. For most characteristics, we have no idea where the genes are or what they do. These characteristics are also affected by the environment. This is why they're called complex characteristics. Complex characteristics like height and intelligence have a range of values within the population. They show a continuous distribution from a maximum value to a minimum value. In large sample sizes, they tend to form normal distributions. These have a bell-shaped curve. Normal distributions can be described using statistics such as the mean and the variance. The variance is the spread of the data set around the mean. The standard deviation is the square root of the variance. Continuously varying characteristics are modelled using statistics, which is the approach taken by Galton, Pearson and the biometricians. In this population, the differences between the individuals are partly due to differences in their genetic factors. We assume that there are a large number of genes, each of which has a small individual effect on the expression of the characteristic. These genes are made of DNA and are inherited from their parents in the gametes. This is known as polygenic inheritance. However, some of the differences between the people in this population are caused by the effects of the environment and are not inherited to the next generation. Thus, the variation in this population, which can be summarized by the variance, has 2 components: a genetic component, which is heritable, and an environmental component, which is not heritable. For many years, the identity and function of the genes which influence characteristics like height were unknown. Recent analysis using genomic techniques is beginning to allow us to understand how genes shape a complex characteristic like height. The genetic variants are caused by differences in DNA bases and are found in different parts of the genome. Some of these genetic variants are within protein coding genes, although many are not. Such variants must be affecting protein coding genes in other parts of the genome. About 25% of the differences between people in height are caused by environmental effects, which are not inherited, such as the effects of nutrition, exercise and healthcare provision between people. A key concept in understanding complex characteristics is the idea of heritability, which was first proposed by Ronald Fisher in 1918. If you recall, Fisher was the person who united the ideas of the biometricians, such as Galton and Pearson, with the geneticists who were following the ideas of Gregor Mendel. Fisher's idea was that it is possible to measure the spread of the population around the mean using the variance. If you know the genetic relatedness of all the individuals within the population, then you can estimate the relative proportion of the variance that's caused by genetic factors, and the remaining variance must be caused by non-inherited factors within the environment. The heritability estimates the proportion of the variance of the population which is due to genetic factors. The slide shows paragraphs from the 1918 paper which introduced the idea of heritability. Fisher makes a number of statements clear right from the outset. These are that the estimate of the heritability is specific for one population at one particular time. It is not a defined property of a characteristic. We cannot say that the heritability of intelligence is fixed at any particular value. It depends upon how it is measured in the population and the population itself. Secondly, and most importantly, heritability describes differences between people. It tells us nothing about the relative importance of genes and the environment in the development of an individual's characteristics. It will tell us nothing about the development of your intelligence. Thirdly, the estimates of genetics and environmental effects are statistical quantities. They may or they may not have any obvious equivalence or explanations in terms of the real world. As we will see in future sessions, misunderstanding heritability lies at the heart of much of the controversies in human genetics, and therefore it is worth having a realistic and sensible appreciation of its strengths and its limitations from the beginning of the course. The developments within genomics in the last 10 years have allowed us to begin to glimpse at what genes might do within complex characters. We are, however, many years away from a full understanding of the link between genes and complex characteristics such as educational attainment. There are many scientists and social scientists who believe that this will never be possible because of the complexities of the interactions involved.